A Florida parent who managed to get a school to ban Amanda Gorman's Inauguration poem has a rather dark history of supporting some pretty dark things. Let's just say that. Now, Denda Salinas complained to Florida about some books. So now those complaints led Florida school to restrict access to The Hill We Climb, which is a book adaptation of the poem Gorman recited at President Biden's inauguration. Now, Gorman, she's 22 years old. She's the youngest inaugural poet in U.S. history. She's a woman of color, and all of those are very, just incredible achievements for young people. Young people are based, they're the future, and they're amazing, and they scare racists and bigots. I mean, again, people very angry bigots. All right. So in the Bob Graham Education Center in Miami Lakes, Florida, because of the complaints from Ms. Salinas, pulled two other titles, The ABCs of Black History and Love to Langston, from its elementary school section after a single complaint from Salinas with two children at the school, the Miami Herald first reported. The complaints reviewed by the Daily Beast revealed that Salinas reported the books for things like, wait for it, critical race theory and gender ideology. Because of course. And indoctrination. Because of course, right? Now, Salinas wrote of The Hill We Climb, quote, is not educational and have indirectly hate messages. Salinas wrote, by the way, she incorrectly described it as being authored by Oprah. It was not authored by Oprah. The book does feature a foreword by Oprah Winfrey, but again, written by Amanda Gorman. But anyway, one of the pages Salinas complained about read this: somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. Now, the following, words come from this poem as well, saying, we the successors of a country in a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And of course, it goes on, but that's generally the point. So when you look at the context there, it actually means that we're all coming together. What does that have to do with, how is this hate messages? I don't get it. How is this critical race theory? I don't know. I guess she mentioned that descendants of slaves. Oh no! Look, I don't understand. I don't understand why she's mad. But then again, I'm also not into white nationalism, not into white supremacy. And I say that because it seems like she might be. Salinas, who filed complaints against 5 different books, appears to be connected to multiple far-right organizations, attending events with Moms for Liberty and the Proud Boys. One of the bigger Proud Boys, by the way, just got sentenced to 18 years for seditious conspiracy. So lovely. Now, Salinas had worked also as a volunteer for Ron DeSantis on his Education Agenda Tour, according to social media posts reviewed by the Daily Beast. So DeSantis, who, again, is going in a massive culture war against trans people, against critical race theory, against LGBTQ people in a state, banning books. So obvious, it's an obvious team up. But it gets worse. Turns out there's anti-Semitism in there. In March of this year, Salinas shared a Facebook post entitled this: The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. Basically, that's a series of anti-Semitic tropes about an alleged Jewish conspiracy to control the world. Oops. Turns out, you a white supremacist. You an anti-Semite. Because guess what? That's part of being a white supremacist, is being anti-Semitic. Oops. Yeah. Now, that post, by the way, was up until Wednesday, until she deleted it, after it being flagged by the group Miami Against Fascism. After the deletion, she replaced it with a picture of an armed Israeli Defense Force soldier in front of a tank, with the words, "People never seen this. I love my Jewish people." Your Jewish people? Now, look, here's the thing. I've told you, I've explained before why the far right loves the right-wing government of Israel. Not only are they actively impressing Palestinian Muslims, because they are, but they're also the fact that, you know, the state of Israel plays into the Christian end times belief. Remember, they think that if all the Jews go back to Israel, that event is going to lead to the kickoff of the end times, where there's a holy war that destroys the world as Christians get raptured into heaven. Like Jesus comes back and then hoovers them all up into heaven with a giant vacuum cleaner. I don't know how it works. It's weird. And it's not even in the Bible. There is no such thing as a rapture inside the Bible. But as far as that pertains to Jewish people, most of them, the majority of them, die in this holy war. Save for a few thousand that get saved. And then, of course, they, you know, a lot of them, I guess, are supposed to convert to Christianity. And there it is. Now, look, to be fair, I don't know if that's what she personally believes, but that is a belief that is shared by a lot of members of the far right, evangelical Christians. So now, I do know that based on what she has shared, she is no friend of the Jewish people. If she's sharing anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about a Jewish takeover in the world, just saying. Now, Salinas is also a registered Republican, and she got radicalized during COVID, or at least more politically active during COVID. In October of 2020, Salinas was interviewed briefly in a segment by PBS NewsHour about Florida voters. Apparently, she had come from Cuba, and she says, "My biggest fear is they talk about the Democratic Party. They talk about socialism. Socialism and communism going in the same way." Oh, here we go with the, you know,
pink-haired communist.
Oh, boy. She told PBS that she had fled Cuba for the United States when she was 21 years old. "The reason why we came here," she said, "I remember I was little." You were 21. I was so little, though, when I was 21. "And I say, I need to live. It's too much oppression in the dictator, so I don't want this for my kids. I want my kids to keep their freedom," she told the program. In August of 2021, Salinas attended a protest against masks in Miami-Dade schools, where she was photographed standing next to Enrique Tarrio, the former leader of the Proud Boys. Again, convicted of seditious conspiracy. Oops. And by the way, that was after Tarrio had been implicated in the January 6th Capitol riots, for which he was later, again, convicted of seditious conspiracy. Salinas, though, believes that he's just a political prisoner. They're all political prisoners. Just over a year later, Salinas attended another rally organized by the Proud Boys in support of a man named Christopher Morzan, a far extremist nicknamed the Cuban Confederate, at a protest in November of 2022. Salinas could be seen there wearing a Ron DeSantis t-shirt and hat. A month earlier, Morzan was physically assaulted in Hialeah, Florida, ending up in the hospital. Immediately afterwards, Senator Marco Rubio tweeted out that the attack was politically motivated. Turns out there was no evidence of that. Morzan had been out canvassing for Rubio's campaign, he claimed. However, an incident report from the Hialeah Police Department made no mention of a political motive. Nonetheless, right-wing groups, they kind of course, they rallied around him. Well, the article says, despite his history of racist and white supremacist beliefs, but I think it's not despite it, it's because of it. Morzan was one who took part in the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. So he was marching along with the people that said the Jews were not replaced blood and soil. I wonder who the white supremacists are. And I got news for you. If you're hanging around white supremacists and you're friends with white supremacists and you're not denouncing white supremacists, what does that make you? It makes you a white supremacist. Just saying. By the way, that Unite the Right rally ended with the death of anti-fascist protester Heather Heyer, run down by a fascist. Now, Morzan was also previously a member of the League of the South, a hate group, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. And of course, Morrison claims to have resigned from the group in 2021 and disavowed his former views. That's who she defends. That's who she is in favor of. Weird. Now, it's not just Proud Boys. A review of Selena's social media posts also reveal her involvement in other right-wing campaigns. For example, in October of 2022, she took part in a rally outside the Miami-Dade school board offices with Citizens Defending Freedom, the conservative advocacy group described by critics as Christian nationalists, also known as Nazis. Oops. CCDF is linked to Turning Point USA and Alliance Defending Freedom, the right-wing group beyond numerous anti-LGBTQ bills across the U.S. Salinas was there in the protest wearing a black t-shirt with the words American Patriot emblazoned across it. Doesn't sound like a patriot. Sounds like a neo-Nazi. Now, she claims that, getting back to her book ban, she's not for banning books. No. She loves books. What are you talking about? I just want them to be age appropriate. I hate the indoctrination of children, she says. We'll get a load of what one of her favorite books seems to be. Ready for it? It's The Kid's Guide to Ron DeSantis by Mike Huckabee. Constantly sharing it on her social media. Can't make this one up. Gee, I wonder if all these book bans that are going on in right-wing areas aren't actually about protecting children. Aren't actually about stopping left-wing indoctrination, but just trying to impose right-wing indoctrination. That's it. By the way, that book ended up not being removed from the school. A committee at the school decided to reshelve the books in the middle school section, according to meeting minutes viewed by the Daily Beast, despite the books being recommended for younger readers. And the reason is, again, there was nothing objectionable in those books. The issue here, though, the whole point of complaining and having them moved is so, at least in my view, the right-wing propaganda can get to them first. This is what this is about. It's not the left that's after your kids. It's the right. And it's not to protect children. It's to protect them, their own dominance, the right-wing dominance over culture.